All right, Coach, we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, it's another edition of the Coach Scott Fields Show, and this is the Coach Scott Fields, and we are honored, pleasured, and humbled to have the great Coach Eric Musselman on with me now. Coach, how are you, and how's everything in Arkansas?
I'm doing great, Coach. I appreciate you having me on, Scott, and looking forward to talking some basketball with you.
Let's do it. Hey, let's get right into it. I've been blessed because I've been able to go to many places where you have been. We've shared stops in China. We've shared stops in Venezuela. Now you were with the national team and I was with Guaros, but then also Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors. So to have you sitting across from me now, this is a lot of fun, my friend.
No, I appreciate it. And I'm sure you got some great stories about Venezuela.
Well, yeah, we could go on and on about that one.
I love coaching their national team, though. I really did. It was really interesting going into a situation. The year before I coached Venezuela national team, Scott, I was with the Dominican Republic national team, and I don't really speak Spanish that well, and it made me become a much better coach because of the language barrier. Just about half the guys on both the Dominican team and the Venezuelan team spoke English, so I had to slow down my delivery. I had to demonstrate much better. And I really felt that it made me become a better coach, especially in timeouts. I really had to slow the delivery down and improve my diagrams in game.
Yeah, I picked up on the same thing because a lot of my journey was in FIBA International. And then the place where probably was the most challenging for me was China because they had both Cantonese and the Mandarin language. So I had to pick up on body language a lot. So I could tell I'd put my point guard in front of me during the timeouts and then have my 5-4, then my 3-2s, and then have everybody kind of around me. But I would pick up if I could tell if they were picking up what my translator was saying just by watching the body language of the players. And again, slowing down that delivery, making sure that everything was known and understood. So some of those challenges do make you a better coach because you find out that not only communication, but effective communication is vital.
Yeah, you must have had a better translator than I did because I would say one word like defend, and the translator would go on like 7 paragraphs. I'm like, oh, dude, I said one word. How does all that mean defend?
Yeah. I was blessed. Everybody in China had a nickname for me, and my translator's nickname was Lingo. And he learned English by watching YouTube coaching videos. So to pick up the terminology and things was pretty clever of him. He was young and energetic, and he was like my little mini-me shadow that as soon as I would bark, he would bark. And I'm like, man, this guy's good. All that success was because of Lingo, not because of me.
I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Great stuff. Well, Coach, let's get right into it. Looking back at your career, and you've had wonderful stops, but how much of that passion and just the love of the game did that come from, with your father?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was my best friend. He was my idol. I looked up to him. I wanted to hang out with him. So that meant when he was coaching at the University of Minnesota, when school would end at 3:00, my mom would drive me over from Bloomington, Minnesota into the University of Minnesota campus. I would jump out of the car, run into practice, catch the last hour and a half of practice. I would then go to the video room with my dad, watch practice again on video. And then come home with them and start it all over the next day. So, and I loved going on all the road trips. When I was in 3rd and 4th grade, I would go on all the Big Ten road trips and remember the great players that he played against, guys like Campy Russell and the Schmidt kid from Illinois and Nick Weatherspoon. And so really fun times. But I would say that, my dad had no hobbies and I had no hobbies. I was either watching one of his games, going to one of his practices, or we were playing pickup ball, really since the time I can remember.
Yeah, see, and I think that's so special. The first time I was able to introduce myself to you, you were coaching the Florida Beach Dogs in the CBA. And I think Coach Russ Bergman was coaching Oklahoma City that night against you guys, and you had Roy Jones Jr. On your bench with you. So that's just some great times. But then I remember fast forward about a decade, and then your son Michael is sitting on the bench with you at the NBA Summer League, there with the Golden State Warriors, and seeing you guys, and now having Michael on your staff now. What does that mean to you to just kind of glance down and see him now the director of recruiting, and being able to do the same things for him that your father did for you? I mean, that's got to be so special.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I was my dad's assistant for 1 year with the Timberwolves. And it was the best year of my life, especially now that my dad's not living right now. So I look back at that 1 year really, really fondly. And Michael, he sat on our bench last year at Nevada. We were, 17 straight weeks of being in the top 10. And then he came with us to Arkansas. And, we were part of a 20-win team this year. So Michael's had 2 really good years. I don't know if he really knows what it's like to get your brains beat in. Because he's been a part of 2 special seasons that were both really fun, one being the last year at Nevada, and then certainly being our first year at Arkansas. So they both were really fun years. And but he understands. He's been around long enough. I mean, he's said it many times that he's been a part of 2 really special teams.
Well, I think it's so neat that you guys not only share that bond, but the passion and the love of the game. And then for him to be able to learn from you directly, I mean, what an asset that is. And then now you've got a daughter who also is phenomenal with broadcasting and interviewing. And I watched that young gal, and I'm like, now that's pretty cool too, to see her kind of following in her mom's footsteps.
Yeah, Mariah's she's really good. She's really outgoing. She loves the limelight. That year that we went to the Sweet 16, she kind of became a camera favorite. And then it was funny because the NCAA March Madness Twitter site actually asked if she would come do all the interviews at the Final Four. So wow. Mariah got her flight paid for. Mom and dad had to pay for their own flight. And then Danielle said, hey, and if you want to go backstage with Mariah, you, meaning me, was going to need a backstage pass that basically said I was with Mariah Musselman. I said, hold up, last week I was coaching in a Sweet 16. Now I need a media pass to go hang out with my daughter. Something's not right.
Oh, man. See, I think that being able to spend that quality time with family like that is just going to make those memories that much more cherishable, especially as, continuing to, see the things that you do with the programs, the cultures that you build, and just let everybody just enjoy and be enriched in that whole process.
Yeah, there's no question. I think the more you can have your family involved, and my wife and daughter, obviously my son, Michael, my other son, Matthew, even.
Yes.
Everybody's involved in our recruiting, and we want to create a family atmosphere for sure.
Well, I've always been a huge fan, and I'm honored that people have compared me to you and your stops because we're both so high energy kind of guys. And so even seeing like when the COVID-19 started, you're still out on the floor and you're coaching and you're instructing. That's just great stuff. Where does that energy come from, and how do you maintain that energy throughout a long season?
Yeah, I don't, it's interesting, Scott. I don't really think it's a long season. I crack up when college assistants say, oh man, I'm tired. And I'm like, dude, we're 30 games in, go to the NBA and you'd be, 1/3 through the season.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what a grind is until you go coach 82 games and you're playing, 6 exhibition games, and then you got the playoffs. So
that's right.
A college season, I still feel really, really fresh at the end of the year. I don't feel drained. I don't feel tired. We've actually been hitting our recruiting harder since this pandemic than we ever have. And we feel like it's a way for us to get ahead. No one's required to come into the office. It's just kind of, if you want, we remain social distancing. But I got a group of 4 or 5 guys that got great determination. They're in here every single day putting presentations together. And they're going to deserve, when we have a good year, the guys that have been in here these last 90 days, those guys are going to deserve a lot of the credit for the preparation that we're doing. Again, nothing against people that aren't coming in, but the guys that are really grinding, I have incredible admiration for the group of people that have been coming in and been partaking and not using this time as off time. I mean, we're in here right now. We're going to be in here for another couple hours after we're done with this interview, Scott. And we got a job to try to put together the best roster that we possibly can.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that we know, we who've been through that grind know that process, know what it takes. The recruiting is nonstop. It's all about building the relationships. And, you've had success at every stop that you've been and every program that you've been a part of or franchise. You've always left it better than you found it. And that's to your credit and your hard work and your constant grind. And it's that culture that you build and you lead by example with that. And I just want to throw that out there that we who understand it, we see that and observe that and we respect that.
No, thanks, Coach. I appreciate that. Obviously, coaching in the NBA is a really, really difficult thing. We felt like our first year at Golden State, we had an incredible year with a bunch of young guys that were all in their first or second year. And then management kind of blew up the young roster. Gilbert Arenas walked away after his second year and went to Washington. And we made a big trade and acquired Nick Van Exel and Avery Johnson towards the end of their career. And then after that second year, new management came in. Chris Mullen took over for Gary St. Jean. And at that time, I knew, like, you get a new GM, you're gonna probably have a new coach. But I look back at that year really fondly. Really, the only year in my career, Scott, that I wish I would have done a better job was Sacramento. I mean, that's the one time that, over that 12-month time period, I wish I could have transformed the team a little bit better. But it's hard. I learned when you replace a really good coach who's really respected, like Rick Adelman was, and he had a certain philosophy where their offense was really good. They played off the elbows a lot, but that wasn't the offense that I was familiar with and comfortable with. So what happened when I went in and tried to put my offense in, which was a little bit different, spacing was a little bit different. The players were not as acceptable once you had a few losses. But yet in the Golden State situation that I took over, there had been a lot of coaching changes. And so that team just wanted structure and discipline. So it was much easier transition going to Golden State than it was Sacramento.
Yeah, but see, and again, those who kind of know how the inner workings work, your character, your charisma, your enthusiasm, your passion and love for the game, that you inflict your will everywhere. And we see that. And to me, I think that's something that a lot of people could learn from just by how you go about that grind and set that culture. Like right now, what is the day in the life of Coach Musselman? Getting up in the morning, what does that timeline look for you to kind of let viewers know that, you know what, you don't just throw the ball out like a light switch, turn it on and boom, it works. Kind of explain to people what that process looks like for those who don't have their finger on the pulse.
Yeah. So it started, I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. I read the internet from about 6 to 6:20, then jumped in my car, left my house about 6:30. I worked out for 2 hours this morning, did an hour cardio, an hour of weightlifting. And then came right up in the office and just started rolling. I mean, today we had an hour Zoom type thing with our athletic director, Hunter Urachek, our softball coach, our golf coach, kind of a thing that we put out that'll go out here in a couple days for our boosters and fans and so forth. And then it was just recruiting. We did 3 presentations today. We talked to 2 transfers. We talked to 2 players that are playing outside the country and did presentations with those 2 guys. And that's all we're doing is just working, recruiting, trying to come up with new ideas. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to come up with was taking what we do in practice, showing us doing it in practice, and then showing it being successful in a game. And it's kind of called Why We Do What We Do. And so that's one of our newer projects that we just kind of threw out today in our think tank. and we are going to start trying to produce that some way, shape, or form. How we use it, we're not sure, whether it's for our new players that are coming in, maybe it's for recruiting. We don't know. But one thing we try to do every day, Scott, is how do we come up with a new idea that we've never used before and then try to implement that.
Yeah, it's going to be fresh and progressive and forward thinking. I like that, because you're always using platforms to connect, and connecting is so vital. And right now during this time, it's so hard to connect and not have those, face-to-face meetings. But I love the energy and the effort that you put in behind all of that. Your social media stuff is phenomenal. I enjoy that on a daily basis. That's part of my early morning routine. Probably when I sent you that text and, hey, I was excited to have you come on today.
Yeah, no, social media has become, it's so interesting, Coach, because for so many years, I was kind of looked at, when I was younger even, I was looked at, the phrases that were used were old school, discipline, no nonsense, intense. And then I get to college and I feel really comfortable with who I am. I feel confident with my ability to put together a team and to put together a culture. And so I kind of let down my guard and I started having fun at Nevada with fun videos, supporting
Great
other
job.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great job.
So
and you can see it. You can see it. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing, Scott, is now there's a lot of younger coaches that think, oh, that guy's just into social media. He doesn't know any X and O's. And hold up, man. Like, let's rewind.
Yeah.
I was known as an X and O guy, known as a guy that was into player development. Now some people think, oh, that guy's a joke. All he does is just social media.
Okay. You've forgotten more basketball than they've ever known, and you were doing it 15 years before they were even born. So come on.
It's really interesting, though, perception to me. It's been really cool to kind of reflect back and hear some of the older coaches, what they have to say, hear what the younger group of coaches is saying. But really it is all about enjoyment, having fun with the game and trying to get better every day.
No doubt. And you've got a buddy of mine that I've known for a long time, Coach Clay Moser's right there on your staff with you as well. That, again, he and I have shared a lot of the same travels. You mentioned culture a few minutes ago. I wanted to backtrack to that. What do you feel is the most important aspect of putting together that culture that you want, that you had at every stop you've had? Because Nevada, you could just see you were having a great time. You were there with the guys, and you guys were one, and you meshed, and that chemistry was there. But what's the most important aspect of building that culture?
I think the number one thing with building the culture is, like, if you're an NBA team, who are you drafting? Who are your free agents? If you're a college program, who are your incoming freshmen? If you're into the transfer portal, who are you bringing in? It's really about character. Like at Nevada, did Eric Musselman create the culture? No, the Martin twins created the culture.
And the twin, yeah.
I kind of helped guide it and told them, what it takes to be a pro and what work ethic looks like, and try to paint the picture and try to show them a vision. But then it's up to the internal locker room to go ahead and execute that and make it become a reality. Like at Arkansas last year, we had a group that started the Breakfast Club. They shot at 6 a.m. And if you start shooting at 6 a.m, that means you got to get out of bed by 5:30. You got to put your clothes on. You got to get in the gym. The lights got to get turned on, and bam, you're starting at 6 a.m. That's a big time commitment. Did our entire roster partake in the Breakfast Club? No. Did we have a group that did, and then we saw the benefits? Yes, because the leader of the Breakfast Club was Mason Jones. He was a guy that was there every day. So Mason goes from averaging 13 points a game to being SEC Player of the Year. No coincidence that the guy that made the biggest jump was the guy that was up at 6 a.m. and in the gym every day. There's no secret formula. It's about work ethic. It's about determination. It's about intensity. It's about will to win.
Yeah, there's no roadblocks on the extra mile right there. And those guys that put the extra mile, they get it done. I'm just a firm believer that, performance reflects leadership, and your leadership and your guidance and the trust that you have with your players, for them to know that you've given them the reins to steer that ship and allow them to empower themselves with the tools for their toolbox, it to me is phenomenal. And again, I enjoy seeing that. You talked about character, and I'm sure that's something that you look at within your recruiting process. Of course, they're going to be highly skilled, but that character's got to be a crucial, tangible to who you're bringing in to be a part of, Woo Pig Suey Nation.
There's no question. I mean, you want competitive guys, you want players with toughness, you want guys that have one skill set that sets them apart, and then you're able to try to utilize that skill set. But yeah, we feel like that character is so important, not only with our basketball program, but also as an athletic department as a whole, because our guys are going to go to the Jones Center and eat with people on the track team and go to study hall, maybe with someone on the football team or the baseball team or the gymnastics team. So it's really important that we have people that fit the Razorback community.
You bet. And the leaps and bounds that you guys are taking just within your first year, you can see things moving in the right direction. And again, that's a huge credit to the hard work and all the details, the small details that you're paying attention to turn that program around quickly and get it going and make it competitive in a very competitive conference.
Yeah, our conference is hard. There's so many good coaches, and every school that we play or university that we play has got a name brand. Every single one of them has a national brand. So it's hard conference to recruit in. You're not going to out coach people in this conference. I mean, people like Rick Barnes are great coaches, and Coach Calipari and Buzz Williams and Tom Crean. Like, those guys are great coaches that you're going up against every single night.
Well, you're very humble, but you're right there with them, and there's going to be it's only a matter of time when things continue to take off, because if people recognize the job that you did with that Nevada program to put them on a national stage with a mid-major program and with the talent that you brought in, again, you're going to get that one going as well. I know it's only a matter of time.
Well, no, I appreciate that, Scott. We got a lot of work to do, but certainly we feel like we've got a nucleus right now that if we work hard and try to figure out what our offensive and defensive scheme is going to be going into the year, because every year your team takes on a new identity, and you kind of got to figure out, tweak what works for which teams. And we got to the point last year where we figured out who we were. I mean, We were going to isolate Mason Jones. We were going to bring Isaiah Joe off down screens. Desi Sills was going to be a guy that was going to knock down jump shots. Adriel Bailey was flying around trying to get loose balls. So we kind of figured out who we were. But whenever we get back after this virus kind of gets under control, we got a lot of work to do to try to figure out who we're going to be from an identity standpoint.
Yeah, and I think identity is an important thing, because any championship level team has that identity, whether it doesn't matter what level you're on, what gender you're coaching, or where you are in the globe. Right now, with the skill sets that you're bringing in, what do you foresee your team's identity becoming?
Well, I hope we're going to be able to really space the floor out. We have a lot of good shooters. Obviously, Moses Moody's a really, really good shooter. And he'll be able to play that 2 spot and the 3 spot for us. And Vance Jackson, a grad transfer at 6'10", can shoot. Jalen Williams, an incoming freshman at 6'10", can shoot. Connor Vanover at 7'3" is an excellent shooter. Desi Sills is a knockdown shooter. Jalen Tate, a grad transfer, has got really good size and can get in the teeth of the defense and spray out to some of these shooters. And he's actually an underrated shooter as well. So we're really excited. I mean, KK Robinson can get up the floor quick and create pace. And Devo Davis is a guy that can create things off his own. And Ethan Henderson was a guy that really improved. So we're excited about a lot of things that we have going on. And one of our sit-out players, JD Note, is a really talented offensive player. So a lot of good things on the roster, but again, you got to try to figure out how it's all going to go and what guys are going to have what roles as well.
Yeah, you bet. And of course, that's going to be determined by their work ethic and their buy-in to the program that you're constructing right now. And I know it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a quality product out on that court.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I mean, I think, people often ask about roles and minutes. Well, coaches don't determine them, players do by what they do in practice.
That's right. That's exactly right. And to be able to hold them accountable to that is something that I think is also vital. We'll kind of change it up and go lighter right now. This has been so fun, and I've enjoyed this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Coach Scott Fields watching another edition of the Coach Scott Fields Show. And we got Coach Eric Musselman on here, chopping it up, talking about the Arkansas program and how they are constructing another competitive program that's going to be out on that national stage soon. Coach, it's important for coaches to always evolve and learn and grow. And if I gave you a list of coaches, I'm just going to throw out a little bit of fun here. We'll make it light. Let's say Pete Carroll. Let's say Pat Summitt. Let's say Greg Popovich and Belichick. If you could write a book about one of them and have to spend the time with them and get that all access, who would that person be that you'd like to be with?
Belichick. Belichick 1, Pete Carroll 2.
Nice. And why Belichick?
Because he wins, and because he's the guy putting the roster together. So, so much in pro sports, there's a GM putting the roster together. Yeah. I'm intrigued by his ability to take players that might not be wanted other places. I'm intrigued by him drafting certain players in late rounds and turning them into guys that have careers.
Yes.
The Julius Edelmans of the world. I'm intrigued by how he figures out a role for them. I have great respect for his willingness to take a player like Randy Moss, who maybe people weren't sure how a guy like Randy Moss would fit in, and he made him fit in. And also the willingness to take a guy like Antonio Brown and it doesn't work out, and then he quickly reverses course and moves on. I just think his roster management's genius. Even though my personality is completely different than his, I like to let the media in. I like to tell the media what's going on. We have two different contrasts.
Yeah.
But he wins, and I just think to be a fly on the wall and watch them practice and watch how he conducts an NFL draft would be so interesting. And then with Pete Carroll, just his positivity, and his energy, I just think is phenomenal to watch at his age, to see a guy go out and throw the football around and run pass patterns with his guys. It's incredible at his age. I mean, he acts like he's 45 and
gotta love it.
Such an upbeat personality.
Yeah, I've got Pete Carroll's book right over my shoulder there, that Win Forever, and that's just great nuggets, man, great nuggets. But it was a poll question that was on my show page, and I always kind of find it interesting how people answer that. But I'm right on tune with you on that one. And then let me give you these names. How about Gino Auriemma, Coach Wooden, Coach K, Nick Saban, Tony Dungy? If you could have lunch with one of those guys, who would it be and why?
Probably Nick Saban for sure. Again, just because of the winning and his ability. It's hard to win year after year. It's hard to win when every night it's the opposing team's Super Bowl. So
that's
Alabama
right.
goes into, like, every night for year after year after year. And then if it was just lunch, it might have to be Tony Dungy, because Tony Dungy actually played basketball for my father at the University of Minnesota. So
there you go.
He was on that Minnesota basketball team, and I'd probably like to hear some of the stories from Tony's viewpoint of what a Bill Musselman practice was like at the University of Minnesota in the 70s.
Oh, that would be gold right there, huh? Well, and see, I enjoy chopping up stuff like that, because again, it was a poll question on my show page and several coaches kind of chimed in, and I found it interesting. But here's a parallel that I see, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the show right now. Just as Michael Jordan was the man, and a lot of people are watching The Last Dance, but Kobe Bryant would pick his brain and pick everybody's brain to see how he could become the next Michael Jordan. I hear Coach Eric Musselman saying, yeah, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick. And then, of course, you say, the coaches that you talk about, winners love to learn from other winners. We coaches are pirates, and we steal from each other to see what's going to work as long as it fits our personalities. And I love hearing your answers to those questions.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important to try to learn from people, whether it's reading books or reading articles daily or listening to podcasts, or I just think there's so many different ways that you can learn as a coach.
Oh, 100%. What during this time, what's one of the recent books that you've read to kind of empower yourself or try to see something through a different lens or perspective?
Yeah, it's interesting, Scott. I read an hour every day
Nice.
when I do my cardiovascular, and I print articles. So I don't really read many books anymore because I like to print the articles and then I read them the next morning. So I'll just Google leadership, coaching, motivation,
Yep.
pregame. I just hit these keywords and just start printing. And then there's certain newspapers that I read every day: the San Francisco Chronicle Sports, Los Angeles Times, Orange County Register, San Diego Union. Uh, I read those papers and try to find articles on coaches. I love the Athletic website. I think they have great writers, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to read about football coaches. I'm really intrigued just because of their ability to navigate so many different players and their ability to be so focused and get a team ready, and how every game is magnified because they have such a short number of games on their schedule.
You betcha. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Coach Scott Fields with another edition of the Coach Scott Fields Show. We got Coach Musselman on here, and we're having a great time talking about many things on leadership and building a program. And it's been so fun to observe the successes that you've had, my friend. And it's an honor to have you on this show, because I'll tell you what, you're just making the show so much better just having you share your knowledge and wisdom with all the viewers today.
No, thanks, Scott. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. What, right, with this COVID-19 changing and with the transfer portal and everything, is that becoming more of a challenge for you to find the right pieces to fit your philosophy and culture there at Arkansas?
Well, I think we're in some really different times right now. And if you don't evolve, you're going to be a dinosaur and be left behind.
Quickly.
I'm not so sure that a lot of the way that we're doing things, it might stay this way a little bit.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is there's going to be more virtual recruiting that goes on in the future than ever happened 90 days ago.
Yeah.
And so if you're an assistant coach, you better know how to put together virtual calls. You better be studying what other programs are doing. Because if you think that you're just going to pick up the phone and have a phone conversation with today's young student athletes, you're in for a rude awakening. Your success rate as a recruiter is going to be in the toilet. You better know how to DM people, direct message people on Twitter. You better know how to navigate Instagram. Now you better start figuring out what's going on TikTok.
Yeah.
And if not, you might as well get out of the college game. And I think we're in a really interesting time from a recruiting standpoint that you're going to have to evolve or you're going to get left behind.
I think those are great nuggets that you just shared. And, so much with successful coaching is about teaching. And to me, this younger generation of players, they're so visual because they've grown up in a technology world where everybody's on their phone, everybody's on the PS4, their Xbox. How essential for you is, as a coach and a teacher, that you're using synergy and you're breaking down video? Because to me, so many of the players are visual. What steps are you taking as a staff to make sure that you're teaching effectively with all the visual technology that we have so readily available to us now?
Well, I think one, you got to understand that the attention span is shorter than it used to be. And
Amen.
You better hit them with the important things. You better eliminate the fluff.
Great point.
You better be prepared when you go talk to your team. You can't wing it. And I think for a lot of assistant coaches, that's hard to navigate right now. And you see it in game preps. Different coaches have different techniques with game preps, and you see what's most effective. And but certainly you got to get in and out of that stage when you're talking as quick as you possibly can with the most powerful message that you can deliver.
There you go. Great point there, Coach. there's so many facets. And I think the more that coaches who have been coaching for a while can get out of their comfort zone to force themselves to evolve and learn and grow and to connect, I think that's a vital piece of successful coaching right now. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, the connectability, whether it's connecting with your athletic director, your chancellor, your president, other coaches on campus, your current players, recruits, staff members, all those things become really, really important.
Yeah, I love this. And Coach, I appreciate your time. I mean, here we are, no commercials, no interruptions. We're chopping it up. I mean, just bop, 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 bop. And I love that. I know you're in demand. You're on many Zoom calls, you're recruiting, calls with your athletic director, other shows, something similar to ours. So I appreciate you being so selfless today and sharing these nuggets and on what you do and how you do it. And it's kind of a behind the curtain look. And I really can't thank you enough for sharing this time with us today. This is something I've wanted to do together with you for several years.
No, I really appreciate it, Coach. Keep doing what you do. It's awesome for the game and for coaches. And I just want to thank you for having me on. I love sharing and I love talking with other coaches.
Well, hey, I'm growing. I'm a better version of myself because spending this 40 minutes with you, and I can't thank you enough. Do you have any last words you want to share with our viewers before we end? Because again, I could go on forever, but I know you've got a tight schedule.
Yeah, no, I just think that, enjoy where you're currently coaching and don't try to skip steps. To me, every job that I've gotten has been because I did a good job with who I was working for at the time. I look back and I ask myself, like, how did I get, that job in Sacramento? Well, because I did a good job for Coach Fratello, and Mike Fratello helped me, and Jerry West, who was the GM, helped. It wasn't that I was in my office trying to figure out how to get my next job. I serviced the players. I love to rebound for guys that were on that Grizzly roster, no matter what time of night it was or how early in the morning. And you develop a niche where people say, hey, this guy's a good workout coach, or this guy does a good job with game preps. And then the people you work for or work with, those people help you move up the coaching ladder. And you got to try to get better every day, no matter how old you are.
Yeah, you got to diversify that portfolio and show that just like you enjoy players who can do multifaceted things, coaches, the more tools that you have in your toolbox, it makes you a more valuable asset for that staff that you're going to be a part of.
No question, Coach.
Gotta love it. Hey, we've got several older CBA guys on here who watch this. I've seen some names who kind of come up. What were some of the fun times that you had coaching in the CBA back in the day?
I mean, there's just so many stories of camaraderie. Taking the bus rides with guys was awesome. Just recently there was 2 articles the last 2 days on the NBA G League site about our Reno team and all the talent. We had a backcourt of Jeremy Lin, Danny Green. Our center was Hassan Whiteside, Steve Novak at the power forward spot. I mean, we had a star-studded team. Donald Sloan, who played 7 years in the NBA. Aaron Miles was on that team. Salim Stoudemire, Patrick O'Brien. I mean, it was probably the most talented minor league history team. But it was fun. All those minor league days are what make us grow as coaches.
That's right. And Salim actually came and played for me in Venezuela when he was done with the Bighorns. So it's fun to, work with the same guys that, have been coached up well before they get to you. So it's been a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Scott.
You got it, buddy. Good luck to you, and woo pig suey, man. Keep it going, brother.
Woo pig. All right. Thanks, Scott.
You got it, man. Have a good day. Be blessed.
Thanks.
Appreciate you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Coach Eric Musselman, one of the best coaches in the industry. I don't care what level. I don't care if it's USBL. I don't care if it's CBA. I don't care if it's NBA. In the NCAA right now, look at the things that he does and how he turns it to gold. We're blessed to have had him. I am thrilled that we had that time to chop it up. And again, he was so selfless to join us and share that knowledge with all of you. Hey, and follow our Coach Scott Field show page. Subscribe for free to our YouTube channel. Keep the comments and questions coming. We love you. Appreciate you. Stay safe. Be blessed. And we'll see you back soon. Again, this is the Coach Scott Fields. Be blessed, everybody. Have a good day.